Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. Migrants' plight causes hundreds of lives as migration tops the agenda of the Western Balkan Summit in Vienna. Deaths and injuries occur in confrontation between Syrian forces and opposition rebels in Idlib and other provinces. And India and Pakistan blame each other for shooting that left 9 civilians dead and 63 others injured. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. Libyan authorities were collecting the bodies of migrants who drowned off the coastal city of Zawara, with some 200 feared dead today in the latest disaster involving desperate people trying to reach Europe. The head of Libya's Red Crescent in Zawara said at least 105 people were killed, some while trapped inside the boat after capsized. Fishermen and the Coast Guard found the waterlogged vessel at a sea and towed it back to Zawara, where they had to break the ship's deck to reach people trapped inside. Meanwhile, police arrested several people believed to be part of the human smuggling operation in connection with the deaths of 71 migrants who likely suffocated in the refrigerated truck found abandoned on Austria's main highway. Austrian police said 3 people had been arrested, while their Hungarian counterparts said 4 were in detention. The 71 included 8 women and 4 children. Still on migration topped the agenda of the Western Balkan Summit in Vienna, Austria, as the region faces an indecent number of transiting migrants. Prime Minister of 6 Western Balkan states, German Chancellor Angela Merkel and European Union Foreign Policy Chief Federica Mogherini attended the meeting. Some 237,000 migrants have reached Europe by the sea this year, most of whom landed in Italy and Greece. Over 2,300 died during the crossing. The European Commission released an additional 1.5 million euros in humanitarian funding for basic emergency services to assist refugees and migrants in Serbia and Macedonia. The Yemeni army has recruited 4,800 Southern fighters following a presidential decision to integrate loyalist militiamen who helped push Houthi rebels out of second city Aden. In a related government, Saudi-led airstrikes pounded the Red Sea port city of Hodeidah. Residents said members of the Houthis had been meeting in the school at the time of the airstrike. In recent weeks, the Saudi-led coalition and its allies on the ground have gained the upper hand, taking back the southern port city of Aden and several other town cities as they make their way northwards in the capital Sana'a. In southern Thais, fierce fighting and bombardment continued. Syria's Al-Qaeda offshoot and other rebel groups advanced today towards a military airport that is the last remaining government-held facility in northern western province of Idlib. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said that Al-Nusra Front and other armed groups seized the entrance to the Abu Dhuhr airport after carrying out several suicide bombings on motorbikes and seizing several positions on its outskirts. Syrian state television said the army had killed a large number of Al-Nusra rebels and destroyed their arms and equipment at this facility. The observatory said airstrikes were launched in response to the onslaught and that 16 Syrian soldiers and 18 rebels were killed in the fighting. The so-called Army of Conquest, a collection of rebel forces, captured the Idlib provincial capital in March and has since driven the Syrian military from most of the province. UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon proposed that a new international body to assign blame for chemical attacks in Syria's deadly conflict for the first time have the freedom to go anywhere and support of all parties on the ground.
It's been really troubling, and it's very sad that we continue to see the destruction of the country and killing of the people, and even destruction of all these cultural heritages. It's not acceptable in the name of humanity that we just sit and watch the people are dying.
Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi has ordered security forces to prepare to open Baghdad's heavily fortified Green Zone government and embassy area to the public. His office said today the order comes in the third week of a reform drive by Abadi aimed to combating corruption and streamlining the government in response to weeks of protests and calls from the cleric Grand Ayatollah Ali al-Sistani. The Premier also ordered the formation of committees to review the sale and rental of state properties and to return illegally obtained assets and restore to the state those that were unfairly evaluated. Still to come in our news bulletin. The national junior football team advances to the finals after beating Qatar in the semi-final. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Authorities say today that Indian and Pakistani border guards traded gunfire in the divided region of Kashmir, leaving 9 civilians dead and another 62 wounded. Both sides blame each other for unprovoked firing and shelling on homes after midnight near disputed border in the Kashmir region. The Pakistani army said 6 civilians were killed and 46 others wounded after Indian attacks near the city of Saikok, while a top Indian border security force official said 3 Indian civilians were killed and 16 wounded after about a dozen border guard posts and some villages came under fire starting around midnight. Tension has mounted between the two countries after talks between their national security advisors were called off because of disagreement related largely to Kashmir. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un called this week's accord between the two Koreas a landmark occasion, paving the way for diffused military tension and improved ties, but said it was the strength of its armed forces that made the deal possible. Kim convened an enlarged meeting of the Central Military Commission of the Workers' Party of Korea, which is the same forum led by Kim last week that warned of military action unless Seoul stopped its propaganda broadcast. North and South Korea on Tuesday agreed to end the military standoff and sparked an exchange of artillery fire and reached up tension on one of the world's most heavily fortified borders. Crude extended gains in Asia today following a 10% price surge in the previous session, fueled by strong U.S. economic data. U.S. benchmark West Texas Intermediate (WTI) for October delivery rose 52% to 43.0 US dollars, while Brent crude for October gained 23 cents to $47.79 in late morning trade. Both WTI and Brent yesterday closed up 10.3% after hovering around 6.5-year lows all week on concerns about China's faltering economy. The rally comes after the Commerce Department responded the U.S. economy expanded an annual rate of 3.7% in the second quarter, sharply above the initial appraisal of 2.3% gain. Oman crude for October delivery gained $2.42 to reach $46.57. In order to raise awareness on the right fishing practices to preserve biodiversity in marine environment, the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, Wealth organized a guidance program for fishermen in the wilaya of Khabura. The participants discussed with the lecturers ways to activate Khabura seaport and the need to monitor violators of local sea law and regulations. Locally known by Sunan al-Bahar, the workshop also dealt with off-season fishing and overfishing and its negative impact on the sustainability of fisheries wealth. Drugs and its security consequences on individuals, the family and society was the center of discussion at Drugs and Narcotics Seminar held in the Governorate of North Sharqiya. The seminar also dealt with social impacts of this phenomena. It also highlighted the laws and regulations that combat this scourge, its types, sources and ways of treatment. The sidelines of this seminar, an exhibition was organized showcasing pictures of types of drugs and booklets on ways of prevention. Hopefully to achieve the championship for the third time, the national junior football team qualified the final match of the 12th Gulf tournament held at Sports Aspire Academy in the Qatari capital. The national team will meet tomorrow the Saudi team in the final match after beating the Qatari team at the semi-final match. Players of the national team displayed a good performance as they won the match at the 90th minute with 3-2 goals. Folklore dancers are engrossed in the lifestyle of the people of the Dhofar Governorate, and our reporter Abdullah bin Ahmed Al-Rubai attended a colorful traditional show.
Traditional Omani folk songs and dance continue to be a key feature of the festival. Women members and their fellow men from Sur folklore bands are notable with their thin black veil and crimson-colored, striped hand-woven wraparound, flowing from head to toes, and as present here, they are brightly adorned with gold jewelry. Popular Sur dances, one of which is called Bashair, is being presented here. These folklore dances are traditionally performed to commemorate the collection of firewood, water and other rural activities, as well as celebration occasions such as local weddings and country national celebrations. Once again, the visitors here admire the Salalah presenters for their rich repertoire of folk dances and songs. A Rabuba is the most famous classical and romantic dance. Here, the costume used in each performance varies. The male wear colorful turbans and corresponding t-shirt or dishdasha and cross belts attached to ammunition belts, while girls are dressed in bright costumes. Al-Rabuba is the most famous classical and romantic folklore dance here. The costume used in each performance varies. For Salalah Festival 2015, I'm Abdullah bin Ahmed Al-Rubai, Salalah Governorate of Dhofar.
Now for the general weather forecast. Partly cloudy to cloudy skies will prevail over the mountains of the Governorate of Dhofar with chances of intermittent drizzle. Rest of the Sultan will have clear skies with chances of cloud accumulation and scattered rainfall over the Hajar Mountains and the nearby areas. Winds will be southwesterly light to moderate along the coast of Arabian Sea, while it will be southeasterly light to moderate along the rest of the Sultanate. Seas along the coast of the Arabian Sea will be moderate to rough with a maximum wave height of 2.5 meters, and the rest of the coast will be slight to moderate with a maximum wave height of 1.5 meters. This is the Sultan of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. Migrants' plot causes hundreds of lives as migration tops the agenda of the Western Balkan Summit in Vienna. Deaths and injuries occur in confrontation between Syrian forces and opposition rebels in Idlib and other provinces. And India and Pakistan blame each other for a shooting that left 9 civilians dead and 63 others injured. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night.